All praises unto our power, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Wa Rakakwadash. Peace, blessings, much respect to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, on down to the rest of the elders who rule well within Israel. Salutations to the hopeful elect throughout the four corners of this whole entire earth, no matter where, whom they may be, or what they may look like, pushing out this purified truth. To the rest of the church who believe as well, you men who may not be teachers or prophets, you women, sons and daughters also. The water to Yahweh Shai, because without him enduring and going to that cross for the nation of Israel and the nation of Israel alone, none of this would even be possible whatsoever. I have the book of James pulled up here. James chapter 1 and verse 1. James, a servant of the power and of the Lord Yahweh Shai Mashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. So this word was sent to Israelites all throughout the earth. Seeing that our people have been dispersed, we've been scattered all throughout the earth, it would be literally stupid to think all Israelites are going to look exactly the same. That wouldn't even make sense. That makes no logical sense at all. Our people look like all nations under the sun. Our people speak the languages of all people under the sun. Okay, but this is about your father's genetic line. It's your father that determines whether or not you are an Israelite. Okay, so let's go to the book of Acts. I'll stay in the book of Acts for a little bit, because a lot of what I need just happens to be in the book of Acts for this short lesson. So let's go to the book of Acts chapter 11 and verse 19. The book of Acts chapter 11 and verse 19. Now they which were scattered abroad, who? The Israelites, upon the persecution that arose about Stephen, traveled as far as Phoenix and Cyprus and Antioch, preaching the word to none but unto the Jews only. So after the persecution that had happened, there was a scattering. So through this scattering, Israelites had went to different places. This was even back then. How much more so today, seeing not only have our people been scattered in these diverse places upon the earth, now you have the Americas. Okay? You have Israelites everywhere who look like everyone under the sun. But regardless of what they look like, this word is only for Israelites. Okay? And some of them were men of Cyprus and Cyrene, which, when they were come to Antioch, spake unto the Grecians, preaching the Lord Yahweh Shai. So people will hear the word Grecians and they would automatically think, see, that's speaking of the Gentiles too. That's speaking of the Greeks, not knowing that you had our people, okay, from the church of Corinth, who lived amongst Greece, right? Corinth is right next to Greece. And then not only that, when you look at a movie called 300 was a movie based off of the Spartans. The Spartans were Israelites who were following after Greek culture. Another name that you would call them are the Dorian Greeks. Okay? Now I believe the Dorian Greeks started in North Europe, but they didn't just have history there. They've expanded. Now, when there was a split, I believe there was a split in Rome, and it was a split where I believe it was, it's been a while since I got into this history, but I believe through this split in Rome, the Israelites ended up taking over the eastern part of Rome. The Spartans, or the Dorian Greeks, when you look up that history during the split of Rome, they ended up becoming what was known as the Dark Ages. Okay? The east of Rome was also known as the Byzantine Empire. I got to get back into that history again. That's something I got to work on is history. That's not my strong suit. Just being honest. I can work on it. So our people have followed after the fashion of the Greeks. Nevertheless, they were still Israelites. When you go to the book of Acts chapter 13 and verse 22, and when he had removed him, he raised up unto them David to be their king, to whom also he gave testimony and said, I have found David, the son of Jesse, a man after mine own heart, which shall fulfill all my will. Now we understand David was an Israelite. Okay, verse 23. Of this man's seed had the power, according to his promise, raised unto Israel a Savior, Yahushua, who the world calls Jesus. So unto our people, the Israelites, who have been scattered, who have been dispersed all throughout the earth, Yahushua was risen up for them and them only. The Israelites, not unto everybody. Let's jump down to verse 37. But he whom the power raised again saw no corruption. Be it known unto you, therefore, men and brethren, that through this man, speaking of Yahushua, is preached unto you the forgiveness of sins. So through Yahushua, we have the forgiveness of sins. But he was only raised up unto who? The Israelites, not unto everybody. But we have to understand too, the Israelites have been dispersed all throughout the earth. So wherever they may be, regardless of what they look like, this is for them specifically. Okay. Verse 38, be it known unto you, therefore, men and brethren, that through this man is preached unto you the forgiveness of sins. And by him all that believe are justified, the all being Israelites, are justified from all things, from which ye could not be justified by the law of Moses. So unto Israel was raised a Savior, that Savior being Yahushua, who came out of the root, or who came out of the line of David. Who came out of the line of David. David was also an Israelite of the tribe of Judah. Okay? Yahushua came through the line of Jesse. Jesse was the earthly father of David. So now, when you jump down to 46, it says this, Acts 13 and 46, then Paul and Barnabas waxed bold and said it was necessary that the word of the power should first have been spoken to you. But seeing ye put it off from you and judge yourselves unworthy of everlasting life, lo, we turn to the Gentiles. So somebody will read that and say, well, it actually gave the okay for the heathens to come into this thing. But that's not the case. Okay, turning to the Gentiles, all that's speaking of again are Israelites, seeing that we've been dispersed throughout the nations. We've been dispersed throughout the earth. Okay, John chapter 7 and verse 35. Then said the Jews among themselves, whither will he go, that we shall not find him? Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles? So those who are being taught among the Gentiles were the Israelites who were dispersed among them. So to turn to the Gentiles, all that's saying is all the Israelites who have been dispersed, that's who we're seeking after, wherever they may be. Okay? So the Gentiles, you have two branches. You have the spiritual Gentiles, so to speak, which are Israelites following after the customs of the heathen, who they've been scattered amongst or who they've learned about or whatever the case may be. And then you also have Gentiles, according to the flesh, those who are natural Gentiles. Okay, those who are outside of the nation of Israel. Those are natural Gentiles. But our people who live like them, they're spiritual Gentiles. But when you flip it there's no such thing as a spiritual Israelite. You're either of the seed of Jacob or you're not. Okay? So let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians. Chapter 1 and verse 23. 1 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 23. But we preach Mashiach crucified, unto the Jews a stumbling block, and unto the Greeks foolishness. But unto them which are called both Jews and Greeks, Mashiach the power of God and the wisdom of the power. So why does it say here, but unto them which are called both Jews and Greeks? Because the Jews and the Greeks that this is referring to are actually the same people. So when I was speaking or referencing earlier on the Spartans, also known as the Dorian Greeks, they were Israelites who were following after the customs of the Greeks. They were Hellenized Jews. Okay? And seeing how our people have been scattered everywhere, where our people who were in the church of Corinthians, seeing that the church of Corinthians is right next to Greece, it's only right that our people were following after the customs of the Greeks within the Greek Empire. The Jews and the Greeks are the same people in terms of when we were told to go to the Gentiles, being our people were told to go to the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles, that was speaking of our people who are following after the customs outside of the nation of Israel. We have our own customs. Okay, we've been given our own customs. So to go outside of that, we will be following after the ways of the heathen. So you had our people who were living after the ways of the Greeks. Although they were Israelites, they were Jews, but they were following after the customs of the Greeks. Okay? And going into that movie 300, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, which is going into the Spartans. The Spartans were Israelites, man. That's a part of our history. All right? And believe it or not, the Spartans actually gave the actual Greeks a hard time. I want to go to the Apocrypha now. Let's go to 1 Maccabees, chapter 12 and verse 21. It is found in writing that the Lacedaemonians and Jews are brethren. So the Lacedaemonians, or the Greeks, also known as the Dorian Greeks, right? And Jews are brethren because they are of the same bloodline. Okay? It is found in writing that the Lacedaemonians and the Jews are brethren, and that they are of the stock of Abraham. All right? So the Greeks that were open for salvation, the Gentiles that were open for salvation, came out of the line of Jacob. And our people have been dispersed all throughout the earth. A lot of people try to give, the credit of the Spartans to these devils, these Edomites, and that's not their history. There's a game called God of War, and the main character, his name is Kratos. This character is based off of a Spartan. Well, to be historically accurate, he would look like a so-called black man. Okay? You also had I don't know if it still exists. It could still exist. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. But you used to have like a hair gel, and it was called Spartan Waves. You put it in your hair, you brush your hair with it, and over time it will help you get waves. Because even back then, you had men with waves, you had men with braids. The things that we do today are not necessarily new whatsoever. So again, you had something known as Spartan Waves. I don't know if it still exists or not, but I remember when I was younger, You go into the so-called black hair shops, you come across a jar, I believe it was white, and it said Spartan Waves, and it might have said it in gold, okay? But in actuality, yeah, the Spartans were Israelites. They weren't so-called white people. Now, seeing how the Greeks and the Jews are brethren, that still shows you that this is all about the Israelites. Now, when you look at the Church of Corinth, okay, which again was right next to Greece, which makes sense why our people within the Church of Corinth were following after Greek fashion, right? When you go to the book of 1 Corinthians, which I'm going to grab it, 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 1. Remember, the Church of Corinthians, they were following after Greek fashion, especially seeing Greece was right next to the Church of Corinth, okay, which is also located over there by Sparta, Athens. You had, what else over there? Kalamata. You had Lamia. You had Israelites all through that region. Okay, so 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 1, moreover, brethren, I would not that you should be ignorant how that all your fathers were under the cloud and all passed through the sea. So speaking to the Church of Corinthians, to these Israelites who were following after the customs of the Greeks, just like us today here in America, we're surrounded by American fashion, which is really just a modern day Roman/Greek fashion, okay, mixed with a whole bunch of other kingdoms before it. A lot of our people are following the fashions of Babylon, seeing that they're here in Babylon. Moreover, brethren, I would not that you should be ignorant how that all our fathers, being what? Our people before us who were Israelites, who were under the covenant, right? We are those people. We are related to them. We come from them. And at this particular time, this was speaking to the Church of Corinthians, the Church of Corinth. Moreover, brethren, I would not that you should be ignorant how that all our fathers were under the cloud and all passed through the sea, and were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea. So the Corinthians, aka the Greeks, aka the Dorian Greeks, aka the Spartans, right? They were all Israelites. They were all Israelites. This word is only for Israelites. This is not for any other nation. Okay? Just like the Israelites in Rome. This was for only them. You have the book of Romans, and people think of so-called white people when they think of Romans. Although overall, that was their society. You had a lot of Israelites in Rome. Okay, and you also, again, you had a split in Rome. And when it came to the eastern part of Rome, that was ran by Israelites, also known as the Byzantine Empire. Okay? When you look at Constantine, which goes back to around 325 AD, he was an Israelite, but he was an Israelite pushing wickedness. He was an Israelite pushing Greek fashion, I believe it was. Our people have so much history that Esau only tries to promote Africa, Africa, Africa. We only know Africa when the first slaves actually came out of Spain and Portugal. And when you look at the fashion of cowboy boots, that actually goes back to Judah. Okay? Judah and Spain made cowboy boots popular. That's our fashion. Okay? But today, if you see a so-called black man wearing cowboy boots, you'll think, oh, he think he white. He think he a cowboy, when the original cowboys were niggas. You know, kind of going off. But even looking at John Wayne. John Wayne was based off of a so-called black man by the name of John Ware. He was a cowboy. And the first cowboys were Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right. We say that so much, it almost sounds like it's a catchphrase. But you're going to find out, man, everything goes back to us except for black metal music, man. You know, we pretty much have inspired all these different nations because we've been everywhere. And this word is only for our people who have been scattered everywhere. So I'm going to go on ahead and close this lesson up, and I'm going to give all thanks and praises unto our power, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Wa Rakak Wadash, Shalom.